Hour, and I am joined by the infamous Constance Willingham, and this is Main Street on Constance, or not Main Street on Constance, Main Street with Constance. Yeah, the Main Street.
We are not on Main Street today, but
no, we are not.
The next time we are, I'll make sure you know that we are actually physically on Main Street.
Well, I think people will be able to tell by what's in the background. So, you know, we talk about safety a lot.
We do, because that is so critical.
It is, but right
Very
now,
important.
especially because of the winter storms that we get, we want to talk a little bit about the safety during the winter.
Yeah, how do you prepare for a storm? You know, you're getting the alerts, hopefully. Do you have extra batteries for everything that requires a battery?
Yep.
Some people have oxygen machines.
Yeah.
What do you have planned for there if you lose power? Do you have a weather radio that you can get alerts from? Because when the electricity is gone, you won't be able to check Facebook or anything like that. So how do you know what's going on and how long it's going to last? Things like that. How are you planning to be prepared? You know, I have some things solar that they will come on and light up and handle maybe 24 hours.
Yeah.
I got a drawer full of batteries. Check the dates on those batteries.
Yeah.
Nothing like putting a battery in and it doesn't work.
So power-wise, a couple of things that I was thinking about was generators. You might consider getting a 5,000-watt generator. Seriously, they're $500. They're not that expensive, and it will run things like refrigerator, freezer, so that you can keep your foods viable to eat.
For long term.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't open the door frequently, your freezer and your refrigerator can handle 24 hours.
That's right, but we've had power outages that lasted a week in a heavy winter storm.
True.
So a week, that's stretching it as far as just being able to retain the cool in your freezer.
Well, I learned, and I was out of town. I was working in Virginia, but I was here in Tennessee, and they had a huge storm, and all the neighbors were complaining. I was getting notes about it and stuff like that. Well, I fared better than they did, and I wasn't there because my freezer, I had a small freezer, and then I had the freezer on top of the refrigerator because the door was not opening and closing, and it was. I had just made my regular monthly purchase, so it was full.
Yeah.
Steaks, burgers, hot dogs, all that stuff. So all that stuff in there maintained that cold temperature. For the neighbors who didn't have much in their freezer, they lost theirs in less than, I don't know, 10 hours. But generally, it'll hold a chill for 24 hours. But since I had it stocked full of stuff that was frozen solid, it held for 3 days.
Well, that's good. Now, a lower cost technology solution for some of your technology devices is a uninterruptible power supply.
That's right.
You can get those. Basically it's a big battery that will power some of your equipment like a computer, or if nothing else, a cell phone charger. It will provide power to your TV box so that you could actually still have communication with the outside world.
So I have a UPS for the computer, the printer, things like that, and we have to check it regularly. It's charged up, and it will tell you how long you have to shut everything down.
Exactly.
And it will maintain how many hours. It depends on the size.
Right.
Small size, large. Depends on how critical you may need to use.
Yes. So you unplug those uncritical items like printers. You don't need a printer in an emergency typically, so you want to just plug in the things that you really need.
Right.
You don't even necessarily have to have a computer.
Essential, critical, yes. So now, one thing, does everybody have a homeowner's insurance? It's something to think about because we do have flooding, flash floods, you know, things like that. Here, flooding everywhere, insurance-wise, is handled differently, but having a homeowner's insurance or a renter's, that does take care of some issues. Maybe a tree falls on your property, your house, your garage, or your vehicle, things like that. How are you going to deal with that?
Yep, and I was also thinking that outage-wise, I mean, you can lose power. We've talked a little bit about that, but the most life-sustaining thing that you need to have would be water. Now,
yes.
If a storm comes along and say a city main water bursts, and you no longer have power to or water to your home, you need to have backup water. So occasionally think about taking. If you rinse out a milk jug really well and put a little tiny bit of bleach and some water in that, you can use that as viable water supply. for days. We go through at least, they recommend probably a gallon a day per person, if not more. So I would start stocking up on water. That's something that you need to do all year round anyway, but especially
True,
during
I
the
do.
winter.
I have about 20 gallons of water on hand.
Mm-hmm.
I maybe let it get down to 14, maybe 10 gallons, and then I resupply. That sort of thing. So, and water does have a shelf life. When we travel, we usually take 2 or 3 gallons with us, something like that. You know, you're not going into the hotel or you're out somewhere. So to have fresh water to cook, drink, that sort of thing. So that's very, very important.
Speaking of shelf life, there are a lot of staple goods that you can get that have a shelf life for years.
Yes.
You can get dried beans; those are good for a long time. So a lot of canned goods, sardines, Spam, things like that, that will last a year. But check those expiration dates and make sure that you have something for the immediate future that goes out 6 months or a year.
Great idea. So, anything else?
Well, I don't think so. Right off the bat, you want to make sure that your car right before a storm is filled with gas.
Yes.
Make sure that you have a way to get out. And then
and a route to get out. So that's why we put in an extra drive in the rear of the house because the front of the house faces a small creek, and so yes, it does flood. I know where the line is. The flood line is for, so I'm good with that. But when you have a flash flood, and a flash flood is when you get a large volume of downpour within 30 minutes or less. So if you're getting 3 or 4 inches in less than 30 minutes, then there's going to be a flash flood.
And as we talked about power sources a little while ago, something else that's very important is remembering that you have power sources, DC power sources, around your farm, around your home, your car battery.
Yes.
You also have tractor batteries.
Yes.
Things like that can, if you need to, be hooked up to charge a cell phone for an emergency. If you need to make an emergency communication and your cell phone is dead, you don't have power, you do have other alternate sources around your home to charge batteries.
There's also those solar gadgets.
Solar is awesome. Yeah.
So you can charge those up, and they'll hold that charge for a very long time, and that's an alternative also.
Yeah. So think safety as we do.
Yes.
And we will
it's very
see
important
you.
Because we want to see you the next time.
That's right.
How about that? Hey everybody, stay tuned right here for more information for Ain Street with Constance.
Brought to you by Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative, your full-service telecommunications provider right here in the Sequatchie Valley.